Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves has expressed that his government will avoid austerity measures on recommendation to his budgetary estimates.
These aggregate cutbacks, at least $65 million could be saved, quote unquote. But my government will not take that route in slashing expenditure in this austere way. The advocates of fiscal austerity also recommend tax increases, some of them including on the VAT, which they suggest could yield at least another $20 to $30 million in additional revenues. But my government will avoid that kind of austere action. I await with great interest the recommendations of those in this honorable House who clamor for austerity, a balanced budget, and a surplus on the current account at a time of continuing global and regional economic uncertainty and downside risks and low growth in the domestic economy.
Dr. Gonsalves noted that prudence has distinguished itself as careful spending.
Prudence means careful spending. It demands sensible expenditure controls. It calls for the elimination of waste and inefficiency in expenditure. It summons a fair and efficient system of taxation and its administration. Austerity, on the other hand, means a harsh application of spending cuts and the avoidance of necessary and desirable expenditure and an increase in the tax burden. Prudence, when coupled with enterprise, leads to economic growth. Austerity presages continued low growth and socioeconomic hardship, particularly in the current global and regional economic circumstances. Whatever the applicability of this austerity thesis elsewhere, it holds no resonance in an economy like that of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. First, it must surely be realized that most of government's borrowings are external to St. Vincent and the Grenadines by way of soft loans from international entities such as the World Bank, the Caribbean Development Bank, the Alba Bank, the Petro-Carib, and friendly countries such as Taiwan and Vietnam.
The education sector will include ICT with a learning process, Dr. Gonsalves said. Every student will receive an Acer laptop with a bag and free Microsoft programs, which will cost over $13.6 million.
Integrating ICT with the teaching learning process and lifting the quality, the delivery of teacher quality. Specific projects for 2014 include, on this educational issue, 1 laptop per child for secondary school students, costing $13.6 million. I've been advised by the Foreign Minister, Mr. Speaker, that the check will be, the money, which is a grant from the government of Venezuela, should be sent to the suppliers sometime this week, and within a couple of weeks thereafter, a few weeks thereafter, they'll be shipped from the suppliers in England to us. Just imagine, Mr. Speaker, in the midst of our recovery, every secondary school child and in the post-secondary institutions would get an Acer laptop in a bag with Microsoft software.
Several bills are expected to be introduced in Parliament this year. This was disclosed by Governor General, the Right Honorable Sir Frederick Ballantyne, while giving his throne speech at the 4th session of the 9th Parliament yesterday. Among the bills to be introduced are the Geothermal Resource Development Bill, the Public Health Bill, legislation which supports electronic commerce, Data Protection Bill, Electronic Crimes and Evidence Bills, the Domestic Violence Bill, and Child Abuse Bills. Ballantyne also outlined that several pieces of legislation to protect the rights of citizens will be focused on this year, including consumer protection legislation, poverty reduction, social integration, delivery of social services to the elderly, youth, and disabled. Juvenile Justice Initiative through USAID will be fully introduced this year. Opposition leader, the Honorable Anim Eustace, met with 4 members of the European Union yesterday to discuss the current state of affairs in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Mr. Eustace said he explained the issues affecting the country as he understood from an economist's perspective. He added that he was grateful for the opportunity, which he said was appreciated and well received. The European Union is a major donor of grants and loan funds to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Meanwhile, during his debate on Tuesday in the House of Parliament, opposition leader Anim Eustace reacts to the failing of wind farm and the number of bounced checks farmers have been receiving for payment. The opposition leader spoke about a number of issues surrounding the closure of the company wind farm and asked who will be paying the farmers.
Who is to pay the farmers that money? That is owed to them. No. Who is to pay? I'm not saying government. Who is going to pay them? I tell you, I have 3. I could deal with it right now to pay workers. Who is going to make those payments? Right now, we're not even really shipping any banana. Something that used to be the mainstay of our economy. What we have is a disaster in this industry. Who is going to make those payments to those farmers who have received bounce checks? The wind farm closed. Closed on the instructions of the government. Whose instruction is closed under?
If you can't,
they close it themselves?
If you can't survive. Huh? Wind farm, government has nothing to do with wind farm, you know.
Oh, government had borrowed money for wind farm, though.
No, to pay farmers.
Yeah, by wind farm.
Who wind farm owed.
The question still stands. Who is going to pay the farmers of St. Vincent for those bounce checks that they have received in recent weeks? That is the fundamental question here.
If I were you, I will take your checks to the police and who issue you bounce check, let the answer.
I thought of that.
I think you should do that.
Have it under consideration myself.
We might actually find out something.
Prime Minister Gonsalves said it's a matter of concern and it is very important that such matters be taken into consideration.
The issue raised by the Honourable Leader of the Opposition clearly is an important issue. But as always, as Minister of Finance, if I know how many farmers, despite the fact what we have paid already, how many farmers are actually owed and what they're owed, I don't want farmers to be without money. But persons who issue the bounce checks must first be made to answer why they issue the bounce checks without I taking taxpayers' money, whether directly or indirectly through a loan. I would like the Honourable Leader of the Opposition to be paid for his bananas and other farmers. But the persons who go ahead and issue bounce checks, knowing that they have no money, can't do that. And if you issue bounce checks, nobody has to tell you that you're closing. You have to close. You yourself. So I would like very much if all the farmers who issue the bounce checks to make them available to whom bounce checks are issued by wind farm, to make them available to the relevant authorities. I would like to see that. And then we will have a proper story as to what actually has transpired.
We'll be right back with more local stories.